Okay, this is the second part to the rearranging equations video. This one is slightly trickier. If you look at the example 1 on the left, we've got to make u the subject of this equation. There's one u there, but if you look further along, there's another u there as well. So 2 u's. So that's not as easy as the ones we've just been doing. Now, the trick or the strategy with this one is if you've got to make u the subject and there it appears twice, the strategy is to get everything with u on one side of the equal sign and everything else on the other, and I'll show you why that helps. So for this one, we've got uv on the left and f times u there. Let's move the f times u. So we're going to subtract fu from both sides. So on the left, we've got uv minus fu, and that equals just fv on the right-hand side. Now, we've got everything with u in on the left-hand side, everything else on the right-hand side. Can you see we can now factorise the left-hand side? So we take out a common factor of u, and in the brackets, we're just left with v minus f. That still equals f times v. So all we've got to do now, we've got u times v minus f. We just want u on its own. So if we divide both sides by v minus f, on the left-hand side we just get u, on the right-hand side we get this. So can you see that strategy here of factorising the left-hand side takes the number of times we have a u written down from 2, so it's in 2 different terms in this line, there and there, and the line below it's just once. That's what we want. So we want to factorise it and then just divide by whatever's multiplying the u. And that gives us our answer. We've made u the subject, u on its own equals, and then stuff on the right-hand side, but it doesn't have another u in it. Okay, let's try the second example. I'm going to follow the same strategy. I need to get everything with an x on the left-hand side and everything else on the right-hand side. Now, if you just look at this, it's slightly trickier because we've got a fraction here on the right-hand side, and we know the fractions are not great. The way to get rid of a fraction, though, is to multiply that side by the denominator. So if I multiply the right-hand side by the denominator, do you remember, it just means I'm left with the numerator. I've got a times x. But because I multiplied the left-hand side by that, I've got to multiply the right-hand side by it as well. So I get minus 3 brackets times all of this, c minus bx. So I've got rid of the fraction. That's good news. Now I've got a bracket. Let's expand that bracket. So minus 3c. And I've got a negative times a negative, so it's plus 3bx equals ax. And I'm now, can you see, if you look at number 1, I'm in a similar situation to number 1. Now I want to get everything with an a on one side, everything else on the other. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add 3c to both sides. So that gives me 3bx on the left-hand side equals ax plus 3c. I'm nearly there. I've just got to get this term onto the left-hand side as well. So I need to subtract ax from both sides. So I'm left with that. Now, do you remember our strategy from the previous example? We've got everything with x on the left-hand side. So if I factorise, I can take a factor of x out. I'm left with 3b minus a in the brackets. That still equals 3c. One step remaining. Just divide by whatever is multiplying the x. So in this case, 3b minus a. And there we have it. This strategy of factorising, just to remind you, that takes when we had 2 occurrences of x, down to 1 in the next line. And then we can just divide by whatever's multiplying the x. Okay, I've set you a My Maths task on those. So if you're confident, have a go.